Hey every guys, my name is Alma and welcome to my channel. This is likely the very first video up and also my very first YouTube video ever. In this video, I just wanted to share my drawing process for icons. I like to offer them sometimes as commissions, but also they're just like little character icons that I like to do for fun. I have some social media links down below if you'd like to support me elsewhere. And so yeah, I humbly offer this voiceover. So it looks like I already drew the sketch. I'm still getting used to drawing and recording myself drawing. So I have these like lapses where I will forget to press record, so I apologize for that. So I already had the sketch done here and I'm starting the lining process. And I wanted to do a voiceover that shows like all the tools that I'm using, and unfortunately I was still getting used to drawing with OBS, and so it kind of cut out like my layers. But in the future I will have like my layers and all my layer modes as well, so that you can really follow along and see like what I'm doing if that's something you'd be interested in. So I'm going in with one of just like the default pen tools in Clip Studio Paint, and that's just like the G pen that you see there. And what I do is I'll do like a outline of what I'm trying to make the line look like, and then I'll just fill it in, and if it looks like wonky, I'll just like erase it. And so yeah, that's basically what you'll see my whole process is like, and I'll just let it speed play for a little bit, but I'll comment on anything interesting. Okay, so I'm about to do like a little switcheroony here. So what I've done is I've taken the G pen and I've copied it. So I've duplicated that tool, and what I did was I removed the pen pressure, and that's really helpful for me, especially when I'm trying to do these like thick lined art pieces where I want all the lines to be kind of the same thickness and be consistent throughout the whole thing. So what I do is I will copy whatever tool that I'm like using that day. This time it was the G pen. I'll remove the pen pressure so that I get this like consistently thick line, and then as you will see, I'll put the stabilizer to max because my hands are super shaky, and I'll just start lining things that way. Even if they overlap, you can always find that it's easier to erase whatever you don't need instead of trying to get like the perfectly smooth line. So that's what you'll see me doing for I think the rest of the piece. I really only line like the face with a tool that has pen pressure, and then the rest I just kind of do this method instead. And yeah, I really wish you could see the layers, because what I'll do in parts where like I really don't want things to overlap, because drawing everything on the same layer is scary to me, so I do end up having a bunch of different layers, and then once all the line art is done, I just kind of fuse it into one. So yeah, just enjoy me suffering with this hair. Okay, I just want to warn, this next part is going to look so atrocious and hideous because the lines are the same like thickness, but trust in the process. It will look good afterwards, but it's going to look real ugly for a little bit. Okay, so this is how I typically draw eyes right now. What I'll do is that in a layer underneath all of the line art, I will create like 2 ovals or, like rounded squamous, like squares or, whatever I'm feeling that day. And I'll create them underneath the line art layer, and I'll use like whatever the like circle tool is on your painting program. That's what I'll use, and I will draw 2 circles and then I will just fill them with a temporary color that matches the line art, and I'll set them to like 50% opacity. I don't know why, but I just do. And then yeah, we kind of just let them sit and they wait until I'm ready to color them in. And actually I'm doing something else that's kind of interesting. I actually really like using the pen tool for longer lines that I want to look flowy and like more connected, instead of trying to like hand draw that myself, because I just know I can't. I'll use the pen tool and I'll do any of like the longer lines like this, and as you can see right now it looks a little jagged. That's because that is my own fault. I'm not the best at using the pen tool yet. But what I'll go and do is I'll zoom in and I'll, erase things, add in like lines wherever I think it needs it to make it look smoother. And honestly, this is like the most efficient way for me to do it, because otherwise I'm like messing around trying to like draw a smooth line and I can't. So this is what works best for me. Okay, so here I am using the pen tool again. As you will see, this one is a much smoother process. I won't have to go in and like draw, fill in as much stuff. And honestly, for those of you who don't have that much experience using the pen tool, neither do I. I just kind of like wing it. It's like trial and error. I know that there's like a cool game out there that like the basis of the game is you use the pen tool to try to draw like different shapes. I can try and find that and like link that below, just because that sounds like a fun way to learn. I think I played that once, but mostly I've just been like messing around with it, and it's worked out pretty well so far. I can probably go further and like master it. I think I just won't for now, because this is working okay. Maybe one day I will master the pen tool. So I finally removed the sketch layer. I can already see something that I'm gonna go back and fix in a little bit, but past Alma does not know yet. So basically what I do now is I have this like really cool, okay, wait, actually before I say that, one of the reasons that I like Clip Studio Paint so much is because there's so many great just like assets, which I guess are kind of like plugins, if you will, or like add-ons that you can add to your program, and it makes drawing and coloring so much easier. So the magic that I did right now is this like one Clip Studio Paint asset that I will of course link down below, and basically what it does, it's like a lasso tool that you use after you've set a line art layer, for example, as a reference layer, and then what it will do is if you lasso any enclosed space, it will fill it in with the color of your choosing, the one that you're like currently selected on. And so yeah, it's really great because recently what I've been doing is after I finish the line art, I will put all of my line art layers into a folder, and I set the folder as the reference layer, and then I'll create a new folder that is just for coloring, and I will pick like the base color, I guess, that I want, and I will lasso the entire line art. Ooh, I'm going on YouTube. I will lasso the entire line art into that one color, and then what I do is I create clipping layers above that, and this would be so much easier if I had recorded my layers as well, so I apologize for that. But what I do is that I'll lasso it on one color, we'll clip layers above it, and that's basically how I do all of my coloring. As you will see, after I set the base layer, I just kind of color in the regions, and that's it. Coloring is honestly one of my favorite parts. Lining, not so much, but it's still cool, you know. But coloring is definitely my favorite. You can see exactly when I look over and I'm like, oh, and then I go back and I delete that one thing that I said I was gonna have to fix. It was basically just like some overlapping line art, and thank God I put them on 2 separate layers, so this was an easy fix. I just erase it and then I'm good to go.
Pas de soleil, pas de soleil, pas de soleil, da-da-da. Pas de soleil, pas de soleil, pas de soleil, da-da-da.
Okay, so now that I've laid down all of my flat colors, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna start doing the things that I do in like every drawing, and one of those things is blush. So what I do is I select just the skin tone area that I colored, and I'll start like blushing things. Usually I do the cheeks, the tips of the ears. In this case, it's like more pronounced and like more noticeable. So the tips of the ears and the nose. Starting the eye process. Basically what I do is I color in the like solid eye that I had drawn earlier in with whatever color the character has, and then I create like an overlay layer over that layer, and I pick like usually if a character is very warm toned, I pick like a cool tone light color, and I start drawing like the highlights, and you'll see me use some multiply layers, which make things darker usually, or always, I'm not sure. I'll use some multiply layers to do like the what is it? The pupil? The retinas? I don't know. The pupils of the eye. And obviously it's very stylized, so like this is not what a real human eye looks. Honestly, I'm not completely satisfied with how I draw eyes right now. I wish there was like a cooler way. But I'm still finding like my own style, so hopefully in like 5 years I can look back and be like, oh, or I'll be like, damn, that was pretty sick. So yeah, just enjoy this for a little bit. Okay, so now I've pretty much finished all of the like flat colors. I'm just finishing up the eyes, but there's really not that much I have to explain my shading, other than obviously it's not the best, but what I do, if anyone is wondering, is that I'll pick that same like shadow color, and like I said before, if the character is very warm toned, right now the character is looking kind of washed out because the line art is very similar to the colors I'm using, so hopefully I change that, and I think I do. But I'll pick like an opposite tone, I guess. So if they're very warm toned, I'll pick like a light purple, and usually a very, very light purple suffices, and I get like a good like shadow color, and then I just pretend that the sun or the source of light is either directly above or coming in from like the upper left or upper right. I'm not the best at consistency, so you might see some like weird, quirky little fun shadows, and that's just because I don't abide by the laws of nature. So just like enjoy what I do. And yeah, I hope my like shadow is, the way I shadow is insightful. Basically what I do is I'll have maybe like 2 or 3 layers of layers set on multiply with that like light purple that you can see there, and I'll just go in and I'll draw the shadows wherever I think they might be. I save the hair for last because honestly shading hair is very difficult for me. I think I do an okay job, but definitely could be better. And so in areas where I think, you know, some spots might be twice as dark, I'll use the 2 multiply layers to keep adding shadow. So as you can see there, right below the neck, there's an area that's like twice as dark as the surrounding areas, and that's just because I used 2 multiply shadows that are interacting with each other. And if I think, you know, maybe a super harsh line doesn't look best, I'll use the blur tool in like a really big size and just blur out that line so that it's not that harsh. And I usually use that if there's like an object that is maybe like farther away, because an object that is farther away won't cast such a harsh shadow on something. So that's when I'll use the blur tool. And yeah, that's basically what I do for this whole thing. So I'll just pop on in if I see anything cool or interesting. So very soon here, I'm going to start, I'm going to start I'm going to start doing the shadows for the hair. So I use a different brush for this part because I want the hair to look a little bit more natural and not as like blocky as maybe the other shadows. And so what I use is the dense watercolor tool. This is honestly like one of my favorite brushes, I guess, to use either for line art or for coloring or for literally anything. Like, this brush is awesome, and it's one of the default ones, so you don't even need to go and like download anything. It just comes with Clip Studio Paint, which I think is great. And so what I do is I just try and line wherever I think like the hair might kind of clump up, so at the ends or anywhere that might be dark, because it's like under something. So like the lower strands of hair that are kind of behind her neck, those will all be dark, hopefully. And yeah, I just kind of go in wherever I think it looks natural. I don't really have any like exact tips for this because like I said, I still struggle with this portion of shading a lot, but I do think I've gotten a lot better. Maybe one of these days I'll do like a old art versus new art because I do think that I've improved quite a bit. So yeah, I'm just gonna go in and do that with the same like purple pink brush that I've been using to shadow everything else. And then since hair is the last thing I do first in terms of shading, I'm gonna go straight into highlighting. And for highlighting, I use the same color just on an overlay layer mode, and that will go over all your multiply layers, over all your flat colors. And I like it because it's like a nice soft purple pink, and I'm gonna be using the same dense watercolor tool, at least for the hair. I might swap it up, change it a little bit when I start doing the rest of the body, but for hair I only use the dense watercolor tool because I just think it looks the most natural and I just like the way it looks. It's also really, really good for doing like intense highlight, as you'll see later. So here I'm doing my favorite part, which is the nose highlight. This is like, in theory, my like favorite part of doing makeup. Even in real life, I just think I like how it looks. The thought of like the tip of your nose being like cute and glossy is like adorable. So I do that in all of my art. And what I do is I take the dense watercolor tool, and in a layer that is add glow, that's like the mode, the layer mode, I'll go in and I'll draw like a little cone going from just above where like a little dip in your nose would be if you had like a little button nose. From above there going up the bridge of the nose, and then I draw like a little dollop on the tip, and that's basically what I do. It looks very like chunky at the beginning, and then what I do is I take the blur tool and I blur out the top and also like where the little cone and the strip of light and the little dollop on the nose, I'm explaining this so badly, where they like meet so that it's not as harsh, and that's pretty much it. And I also add a little bit of glow on the lips as if they had like lip gloss, because that lip gloss be popping, and then I just continue and do the rest of the highlighting, which is not as fun. So here I'm about to do some icon magic, and that is that I will be selecting everything that is not my drawing. I will then invert it so that I'm selecting just the area behind my drawing, and then what I do is I increase my selection by like a couple of pixels, I think maybe like 4, so that it creates this like white border around it. As you can see, it's not the best border. For some reason it makes like all of the spikes in the hair be like chopped off a little bit, and so I do have to go in by hand and like fix that. And also it's just like it looks better if I go over it a little bit because the lines are so harsh sometimes, but it is like a shortcut for sure. I don't have to go in by hand and like draw a white outline behind everything, and so it is like a really cool little nifty trick. And then what that does is it lets me have this like white border behind the art that I just drew, so that it helps it stand out from the background color a little bit. And so yeah, I just like how it looks. I think it looks kind of like a sticker, like you just printed out a sticker and then like stuck it on a piece of pink paper, I guess. I just think it looks nice. And then I think you're gonna see me struggle with like, I was trying to make the icon like a little cuter with like ruffles or like sparkles, or I don't remember what I was trying to do, but I do remember that I hated it. So you'll see that in a little bit. And then after this I'm pretty much done. Okay, I was starting to get nervous because I was like, wait, the line art looks very washed out, but I do go in and I make it a little bit darker. What about now? Thank you, Lord. That looks a lot better. And I think I'm pretty much done. So thank you everyone for watching. I think the only thing I do now is I add like my signature somewhere, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this like little speed paint process. I'm going in right now and like coloring in the inner line art where like I kind of want it to be more skin tone colored, and I just do that as like a finishing touch sometimes. Okay, so I guess I'm not done. I think I'm done now. And so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little like process video. I will be uploading a lot more. I have a lot of speed paints already recorded, and I'm linking my TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter down below, where I post just like random art that I finish. And so yeah, I'll also be streaming soon at some point. I'm working on my little overlay because I'm a perfectionist and I want it to look really good, but I think I'm just gonna do it one of these days. Oh god, here I am trying to add like a border. So yeah, feel free to check those out. I really am glad that you are here watching this, if you're watching this, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for watching. Bye!